Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing very well. So in today's video I'll be showing you how to make these really cute Christmas bear headphone covers. You can adjust these to any size and this is a really quick 2-hour project. So I hope you all enjoy this one and let's get into it. So for this project you're going to need a 2.5mm hook, a large needle, some scissors, some embroidery thread and an embroidery needle, about 8 buttons. You're also going to need a stitch marker, your main colour yarn, and today I'm using this Stylecraft special double knit yarn. This is just in the shade white. Obviously you're going to need your headphones. I have Goodman's headphones, but this pattern will accommodate for any kind of round ear headphone, and I will show you at what point you can customise it to your headphone size. And then you will also need colours for the holly berry, the holly leaf and the ribbon section, and then also this detail here on the ear. I'm going to be using a light green for the ribbon, and then I'm using pink for the holly berries and also for the ear detail, and then lastly some dark green yarn for the holly leaves, and all of this yarn is double knit yarn. I'm going to be starting off with the kind of round ear section, so the width across here. So I'm starting off with a slip knot with my main colour, and I'm going to make a chain of 3, and then I'm going to slip stitch into that third chain from the hook, like that, and then I'm going to separate the ring until I can see the middle, and I'm going to make 8 single crochets into the ring. Okay, once you have your 8 single crochets, you're going to place your stitch marker in that 8th stitch, and then you're going to pull on the short tail to close the ring, and I'm just going to crochet the tail into the next round to just make sure it's all weaved in. So I'm going to slip stitch into the next stitch, so that's the first stitch. I'm going to make a slip stitch that to complete the round. So for round 2 I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to make 2 double crochets into each stitch all the way around. So I'm making my first double crochet in the exact same stitch. I'm making 2 of these in that stitch, and then I'm making 2 double crochets into each stitch. Okay, once you have reached the end of your round, you're going to slip stitch into that first double crochet that you made, like that. And now we don't really need the stitch marker anymore, so I'm just leaving this. So for round 3 I'm going to chain 1, and this time I'm going to make 1 double crochet into the first stitch, 2 into the next stitch, and then I'm going to repeat that sequence all the way around. So 1 double crochet into the same stitch, and then 2 into the second stitch. And I'm repeating that all the way around, so 1 in the next stitch and 2 in the next stitch. And then to finish the round I'm going to make a slip stitch into that first double crochet, like that. For round 4 I'm going to chain 1, and this time I'm going to make 2 double crochets and then an increase. So I'm going to make 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet and then 2 double crochets into the third stitch. So starting off with my first double crochet in the first stitch, and then my second double crochet into the second stitch, and then into the third stitch I'll make 2 double crochets. Okay, and then I'm just repeating that all the way around. So once you get to the point where your circle fits perfectly across your headphones, you are then ready to do your last increase round, which is going to wrap around the width of the headband section. So you're going to want to make a rough estimate of how many stitches go across the width of your headband. For me, that was only 4 stitches, which means that I only needed to leave 4 stitches out. So I did the sequence of 3 double crochets and then an increase 7 times, which left me with 4 stitches that I was just going to leave out, and then that creates a gap between where you did the first double crochet and where you did your last double crochets. So I'm now about to start my last increase round, which will be 3 double crochets and then an increase, and then repeating that sequence around. But I'm only going to repeat the sequence around 7 times because I want the next section to be going around the side of the headband part. So I'm going to chain 1, I'm going to make 3 double crochets and then an increase, and I'm going to be repeating that sequence 7 times. So it's 1, 2, 3, and then an increase, and I'm going to repeat that 7 times. So I've just finished my round. I now have technically 4 stitches left where I would be doing the 3 single crochets and then the increase, but I'm actually going to stop here because, as you can see, when we line up the work with the headphone, the gap across here is going to match the headband width. So for the next 2 rounds I'm going to be making a chain 1, and I'm going to turn the work around, and I'm going to make 1 double crochet around each stitch, and then to the final stitch a double crochet as well, and then I will turn the chain 1, turn the hook and do the same. So I'm going to make a double crochet into the first stitch and 1 double crochet into each stitch around. Okay, so I'm going to do my last double crochet in my last stitch, and that is what it should be looking like, and then I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to turn the work and I'm going to do another row of just double crochet into each stitch. Again, we're only crocheting now into this section here and missing out this section, and at this point you're going to want to crochet as many rows of double crochet only until the work reaches the kind of thickness of the headphone itself. So I only needed to do 2 rows of the just double crochet only, but you may need to do more. So once you have done your final row of double crochet, you are simply just going to chain 1, and we're going to carry on working but on just this edge here for the strap that will go across. So I've chained 1 and now I'm going to make 4 double crochets. So I'm going to just kind of double crochet across these bars going across. So that's 1, 2, 3, and last one, 4, like that. So now we're kind of working up rather than going around, we're working like upwards. And now I'm going to chain 1, I'm going to turn the work and I'm going to make 4 double crochets. So that's 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to make 4 double crochets, and this is the last row for the strap. So in total I've only done 3 rows of double crochet going across, but if your width of your headphone is slightly bigger then you may need to make more rows, so just kind of trial and error, but I've only done 4. And now I'm just going to chain 1 and fasten off. And then I'm just going to weave this end in, and then you're just going to want to make another one of these kind of circular ear muff kind of sections with the strap as well, and then I will meet you back once I have made my second one. So once you have your two headphone parts, you're just going to set them aside, and we're now going to be working on the headband strap. So for the headband part, I'm going to start off with a slip knot, and I'm going to be making a chain that wraps right around the headband part. So I made a chain of 14, and this was the perfect fit, so adjust this if your headband part is different. But I'm going to start off with 14 chains, and then I'm going to flip the chains over, and I'm going to make a double crochet into that second back bump. So you can see these back bumps going down the middle of each chain. You're going to make a double crochet into that second back bump, and then into each back bump all the way across. Okay, for the next row you're just going to chain 1 and turn the work, and you're just going to make 1 double crochet into each stitch all the way across. Okay, and then you're just going to repeat row 2 all the way up until you have the length of all the way around your headband. So from here all the way around to here. I did 34 rows, and that was the perfect fit for my headphones, but make less or more rows depending on how long the headband section is of your headphones. So I will come back after I have finished row 34. So I've just finished my 34 rows of double crochet, and now I'm going to chain 1 and fasten off, and I'm going to leave a long tail for sewing. Just pull that through, and then I'm also going to cut another long tail for sewing for the other side of the headband as well, and just set that aside. And then you're going to want to take one of your headphone side pieces. You're basically just going to attach this edge here to this edge around here. So as you can see, you're just going to line up the edge all the way around, and I personally have lined up the edges a little bit further down so they're not completely together, a little bit further down, to give space for the buttonhole here. But I'm basically just going to sew the edges together, and again I'll be like stopping kind of around this section here. Okay, and then once you have sewn all of the edges together, you're then just going to make a double knot on the inside. So I'm going to bring the yarn back through to the inside, and then I'm just going to make a double knot. So I'm just going to grab some loops nearby and then pull through, leaving a loop, and then I'm going to go through that loop to make a knot, and then I'm just repeating that in the same spot to make a double knot, like that. Then I'm just going to weave that tail in. So that is what it should be looking like when you have attached the edges together, and now I'm just going to do the exact same thing on the other side with my long string that I cut. So I'll meet you back when that is all finished. Now I have sewn everything together, I'm now going to be sewing on all my buttons. So firstly you're going to want to sew a button right here so that your flap can attach like this and go around it, and and you'll want to do that on either side, and then you're going to want to place 6 buttons across the edge, so roughly spacing it out. So I've just sewn all of my buttons down, and now I'm going to be making the holly berries. I'm going to be using a light pink for each berry. You're going to want to make 2 of these. So I'm going to start off with a slip knot, and I'm going to chain 3. Like that. And then I'm going to make a slip stitch into the 3rd chain from the hook. Like that. And then I'm going to open the ring, and I'm going to make 7 single crochets into the ring. Okay, and then once you have your 7 single crochets, I'm going to place my stitch marker in, and then I'm going to close the hole by pulling the short string. And now I'm going to be making 2 rounds of just 1 single crochet into each stitch. So no increases, I'm just making 1 single crochet all the way around. Okay, and now I'm going to chain 1 and fasten off, and then leave a long tail for sewing. And then with the sewing needle, I'm basically going to close the hole by wrapping the yarn around each stitch. So I'm going from the back to the front into the first stitch and pulling through, and then again into the next stitch from the back to the front, pulling through, and I'm doing this into each stitch. Okay, and then once you have placed the yarn around each stitch, you're going to want to pull tight, and this will draw in all of the stitches and close the gap. And then you're just going to go into sort of a loop nearby and make a double knot. Like that. And then you're just going to want to shape the berry back into kind of a ball, so you just kind of want to push it, and then you just kind of bring the tail back to the bottom of the berry. So you should have something that looks like this, and then you're just going to want to repeat that again and make a second berry. You're just going to want to leave this tail as it is, because we're going to sew the berry onto each leaf. Now for the holly leaves, we are going to take the dark green yarn, and we're going to make 2 leaves. So we're going to start off with a slip knot and a chain of 8. Okay, so we're going to make 1 slip stitch into the 2nd chain from the hook, and then we're going to make a single crochet into the next chain, and then we're going to make 3 double crochets, so 1 in each stitch. That's 1, 2 and 3, and then we're going to make a single crochet into the next chain, and lastly a slip stitch into the last chain. So you should have something that looks like this. We're going to kind of turn the work around, so now we're working on the opposite side, and we're going to repeat the exact same thing through the other loops on the opposite side. So we're going to make a slip stitch into the first chain, and then a single crochet into the second chain, and then 3 double crochets, and then a single crochet into the next chain, and a slip stitch into the last chain. Then we are going to make a chain of 3, I'm going to slip stitch into the second chain from the hook. I'm going to make a slip stitch into the second chain from the hook, and then a slip stitch into the next chain, and then we are going to skip this part where we made the chain 3, this space, and we're going to slip stitch into that first slip stitch that we made. Let's make that slip stitch, and then we're going to slip stitch into the next stitch as well, and then we're going to repeat that sequence again. So chain 3, slip stitch into the second chain, slip stitch into the next chain, slip stitch into the next stitch, and then slip stitch into the next stitch, and then I'm going to repeat that sequence all the way around. Okay, so your last stitch should be a slip stitch, and you're just going to want to chain 1 and fasten off, and then you're going to want to weave this tail in, and then I'm going to just sew the berry onto the top of one leaf, and then I'm going to make a second berry and a second leaf and repeat the exact same thing, sewing the pink berry onto the leaf. So I will meet you back when that is all finished. So we're now going to be working on the ears, so you're going to want to take your main colour and make a slip knot, and then you're going to want to make a chain of 3, and then slip stitch into the third chain from the hook, and then you're going to want to separate the ring, and you're going to want to make 6 single crochets into the middle of the ring. Okay, and then we're going to slip stitch into that first stitch that we made. Right here I'm going to slip stitch, and then for the second round I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to make 2 double crochets into each stitch all the way around. And then you're going to slip stitch back into that first double crochet that we made, and that is the end of round 2. For round 3 I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to make 1 double crochet into the first stitch, and then 2 double crochets into the second stitch, and I'm going to repeat that sequence all the way around, so 1 in the first stitch and 2 in the second stitch. Okay, and then I'm going to slip stitch back into that first double crochet that we made. Okay, and then for round 4 I'm going to chain 1, and I'm just going to make 1 double crochet into each stitch all the way around. So I'm just making 1 in each stitch. Okay, and then I'm going to slip stitch back into that first double crochet, and then I'm going to chain 1 and fasten off, and you want to leave a long tail because we're going to slip stitch the edges together in a minute. And now we are going to be making the ear detail that's going to go on top of the ear. Okay, so for the ear detail we're going to take the pink, or you can use brown, whatever colour you want to use, and I'm going to make a slip knot, and I'm going to chain 8. I'm then going to flip the chains and make 1 single crochet into that second back bump from the hook. So that one right there, make a single crochet, and then you're going to want to single crochet into each back bump all the way across. And then we're going to turn the work, and we're going to make one single crochet into each stitch all the way across, and we're going to do that for 3 rows. Okay, and then for our final round I'm going to turn the work. I'm going to skip the first stitch and I'm going to make a half double crochet into the second stitch, and then I'm going to make 3 double crochets, 1, 2 and 3, and then I'm going to skip the next stitch and make a half double crochet into that very last stitch. Like that, and then I'm just going to chain 1 and fasten off, and then I'm just going to sew this piece to the ear. So I'm going to just line it up like that, and then I'm just going to sew around this front part of the ear. So I'm only sewing through this section, not sewing through both sides. So I've just sewn the pink part to the ear, and now I'm going to slip stitch the sides together. So I'm just going to insert my hook into sort of the first stitch and then pull the yarn through and then just chain 1, and then I'm going to go through the first stitch of the white ear and then the back stitch as well, and then slip stitch through both, and I'm just going to continue that all the way across, so slip stitching through both stitches. Okay, and then I'm just going to chain 1 and pull the yarn through, and then you're just going to want to make a second ear and then just sew it to the top of the headband part, and then I will come back and I will show you how we attach the holly leaves to the ribbon. So now I've got my 2 holly berries, I'm going to grab my mint green yarn and I'm going to make a chain of 65, and this is going to be like the ribbon tie part of the decoration. So I'm just making a chain of 65. Okay, so once you have your chain, you're just going to cut the yarn and then pull that little tail through and pull tight. So you should have these 2 kind of tails here, and you're just going to want to trim them as well. And then you're just going to want to go from the front to the back with your hook on one holly leaf, and you're going to want to pull one side of the ribbon through like this, and then you want to repeat that on the other holly leaf as well. Okay, and then you can just kind of pull that a little bit more, and now you have kind of this looped decoration, and you want to wrap this around from the back of the headband part to the front. You kind of want to wrap it round and then you tie it together. So I'm going to place this on my headphones, and then I'm going to show you how you can actually attach this onto it. Okay, so I've got everything placed on, and now I'm going to attach the decoration. So you're going to want to make sure that your holly leaves are facing the front, and you're going to wrap one side around the back of the headphone kind of headband part, and then you're going to make sure that your ties are equal when you pull them to the front, that they are like equal in length. And you're just going to tie a single knot around like this. So just tie those ribbons together, and you're going to want to kind of shape the holly berries like this, and then you're going to make your ribbon, your bow, so tie it into a bow. Okay, And that is what the holly berry decoration is looking like. I'm just going to attach the other one onto the other side, and then this is our project all finished. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this project. If you did enjoy this video, please consider subscribing and giving this video a thumbs up, and if you have any ideas of what you'd like me to make next, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.